let's review the episode. It had, of course, the best scene ever. The beautiful scene where Eren is like, I hate you, I always hated you. And let's go back to that scene then. Oh, but it's like the thing is that, Mikasa starts crying, right? I mean, half the episode is beautiful, right? No, but half the episode is beautiful. This is 10 minutes of Mikasa cry, basically, right? Of different scenes, and Mikasa is like, no, I love you, Eren, right, or so on. But I really like this episode. It truly is my favorite. Truly is my favorite part of the anime. I think this is the best scene of the whole Attack on Titan, honestly, genuinely so. Because of course Mikasa, and I always found it funny, and I stand by saying this thing. I always hated her too. That's right. I never liked Mikasa. I never liked her to begin with, right? No, but seriously, and I mean it, right? You can look at my own reviews, right? I never liked Mikasa. People are like, you always give Gabby so much. No, I mean, I don't like Gabby. Gabby has her issues, right? She's like, speedrun Eren, right? She has her issues. But I never liked Mikasa either, right? My favorite character is Jean, right? Jean is by far my favorite character. And of the female character, it's probably Annie, I would say. Or Peak. Peak or Annie, right? Of the original cast, kind of in the beginning. Easy Annie. And then Peak, right? When Peak is introduced, but of course Peak is introduced way later in the anime and so on. But Annie in the beginning, and then Sasha, of course, as number 2 there, and then into Peak, and then like Hitch too, of course, also a very good character. So Annie and Hitch thing is very interesting too. And that kind of dynamic is also very cool, and she kind of takes care of Annie and so on. So that part is very interesting. But Mikasa for me, and maybe I guess I'm hating now then, but Mikasa for me, I'm like, come at me with your hate, because come on, Mikasa is a boring goddamn character. She's like a one-dimensional, female character. And if you ask her, like, what's your favorite color? She's like, my favorite color is Eren. But that's not a color. What's your favorite food? It's Eren. It's like, that's not really food, but I guess you could eat him with the Titan thing. And if you ask her, like, what's your favorite movie? She's like, Eren is my favorite movie. You get my point, right? Mikasa is so obsessed with Eren that her whole personality, as Eren completely says here, is like, you obsessed with me, woman. Right? You had this like codependency, almost like a yandere thing, right? You know what I mean? She's, as he says, like, you're probably just genetically, enslaved to me, right? You have this like weird Ackerman mentality to protect me, and because these paths and shit and my powers are in history and stuff, right? You just activated your power thing to save me as a kid, right? And you have zero actual self freedom, or you have no your personality is you want to save me all the time, right? And he's right. That is clearly right. And I said by saying that I always disliked Mikasa too. I think it was like a boring character. The only good thing she has going for her is her abs, right? She has a cool scenes in the OVA, which is all muscular. She sees her, badass muscle. That's the only thing going for her. Yeah, like her, Hibiki training. Yeah, like her going to the gym, right? That's basically the only good scene with Mikasa, I feel, from like an actual, not really personality, but you know what I mean. Like, she's just like, what's her personality, right? What's her personality? I really love this scene, right? This is arguably even better than when he says, like, I hate you, I always hated you. Because, of course, this in here, what happens is that, Armin is like, screw you, Eren, you're my best friend or something, and tries to punch Eren, right? And Mikasa stops him. So I think this scene is perfect, because, of course, Eren just told her that, I hate you, you're useless, you have zero, you're the most unintelligent person ever, right? You're like an, an amoeba kind of level of intelligence, you have like one cell, and the cell is like Eren, so you're completely useless, except for fighting, right? And of course she's like, no, I have my own free will, I don't love you, like some kind of mental patient. And then of course then Armin attacks Eren, and obviously then Mikasa saves Eren. So I do love the whole idea that she's like immediately, but she's trying to deny the fact that she's like, no, I'm not obsessed with you, Eren. I have my own self-interest or something. Like immediately she beats up Armin to save Eren. Oh, I think it is beautiful. Again, I think this is the best part of the whole thing. It's beautiful. She immediately proves his point that she is obsessed with him, and automatically is willing to, basically kill Armin, right, to protect Eren. Yeah, she's immediately willing to hurt Armin, and probably would even kill Armin if she had to, right, to protect Eren, right? Just as Eren said, that you have no personality. Your only personality is that you have to protect me. That's like, and the thing is too is that, like, does she even love Eren, right? You know what I mean? You could argue that she's like obsessively in love with him, right? Clearly, but at the same time, it's like, is her love in more of a weird, Mamoru protective way, more versus like an actual love. Her love for Eren makes her also. I mean, it's more like she's so into defending Eren, right? No matter what, right? Protecting Eren no matter what. That she also reads that internally as, like a woman's love for a man, right, so to speak. But it's more like, no, you're obsessed with defending him no matter what, right? So it's like a weird, mental ballistic to also be like, well, I defend him because I love him, It's like, it's not because I have to defend him, it's because I am in love with him, It's like normal love, So it's kind of like the, is she actually in love with him, right? Or has she made herself for love with him? I would say this. I would say that, yes, I think she is in love with him, but I would argue, like Eren does too, that she doesn't even really love him. It's more that she has, because she has, lived her life used to defend him, not just from actual violence, but everything. Right? She's like, oh, Eren is the smartest and funniest, and constantly, always be on his side, defending him, and I mean defending him in arguments, right? In any kind of disagreement with Dean and Rain or whatever, right? So all that stuff, right, has made her internally be like, I say that because like internally she's turned into love, right? But it's more like a mental obsession. But this season I think is perfect how she immediately beats up Armin to protect him, even after he was like, I hate you, I always hated you, you're the worst person ever. She's like, well, I will still defend you, proving your point perfectly. So I think that scene is the best shit ever. That is perfect. I generally do think this is the best episode. Absolutely. I really do think this is the best, best episode. It really is, right? Absolutely. But anyway. So that, she's beautiful. And I think that just, I have to say I love it, seeing her crying all the time between, because her whole life is just beautiful. Her whole life is just been about, protecting Eren, right? And it's like her crying in different scenes. I'm trying to find another Mikasa crying scene, but the whole episode is just Mikasa being like, no, my life is pointless. Like the first 10 minutes is just her being tormented by Eren dissing her. Yeah, like, no, I hate you, you're a useless woman, you're the worst person ever, I prefer Historia over you. I wish kind of drop some bomb like, I actually love Historia. That would be even better if he like, I also enjoy Historia more than you, right? Yeah, it's just more of Mikasa crying. There's 10 minutes of her crying. And of course Armin gets beaten up. Here's the best. Here's the big crying scene. Oh, where is it? When she sees Armin getting defeated too. And of course she has, Armin is her best friend, right? I suppose, right? Where's that scene? When she's just really crying. And she screams like, Yamero! Oh, here it is. Yamero! This is the thumbnail, man. This is the thumbnail for you, yeah. Yamero! Please stop! Yeah, this is the Yamero scene. It really says Yamero, like Luffy in One Piece, yeah, like when he's, tasting, yeah, Yamero. So anyway, I really think it's the best scene because, as I mentioned earlier, and I genuinely mean it, right? You know how I have prudent punches, right? When it comes to the characters in Attack on Titan. I don't get how people enjoyed Mikasa earlier. I mean, she's a badass, female warrior fighter, right? But that's her whole personality. She's just a badass fighter. It's like, but what is her favorite color? I don't know, it's Eren, right? You know what I mean? Like, she has no personality. She's like a living muscle, she's like a little mecha, flesh mecha, right? Like a little constructed superhuman that can fight for you, and she fights for Eren, right? And she actually has no personality. And I think that's important to say that because, for example, I'm throwing out some other anime comparison here then, but it's a lot of, muscular, badass, fighters, right? Female fighters, which is usually, I really, really want to point out, right? Because if you follow me on my older reviews, for example, of Black Clover, as I comment to here now then, or other animes, right? You probably know that I'm a huge fan of the muscular tomboy kind of character, right? I love, that's my favorite character in most animes. Like, from a personal standpoint, shouldn't I love Mikasa, right? From you being like this badass female warrior, right? So for example then, my favorite character in Mereoleona is Mereoleona, right? Goddamn, that's my wife, right? I freaking love Mereoleona, which of course is this badass, female warrior. In a sense, similar to Mikasa, right? She's very overpowered, very, muscular, very in your face, beats up everyone, very similar to, in like a power way or like in a physical way, I suppose, similar to Mikasa, right? And so on, right? And if there was the Kenichi, Kisara is my favorite female character, and that's all right. So usually, I, as an anime and manga fan, I like this, the badass female warrior character, right? That takes no name and beats up everyone, so on, right? I should like Mikasa, right? But I never liked her because she has no personality, right? Mereoleona has like a really strong, she has a, physical female character, right? But also has a strong female personality, right? It's very aggressive and this stuff and so on, right? But Mikasa is just basically, as Eren says, like, oh, you're just like a mech slave to me. Oh yeah, you're boring, you're boring, you're talentless or whatever. I mean, everything else, right? There's no personality there. So I really stand by saying that I love this scene so much, but also because, from a meta standpoint, I never understood, and yeah, come at me, people, be angry, but I honestly mean it, I never understood how someone has Mikasa as her best girl. I know people are gonna be pissed off now, but come on, like honestly, because I'm just like, but she has no, her personality is just Eren. Like, what's her personality? She's like she's the best female fighter in Attack on Titan, but there's so many other, female kind of badass female characters. Let's say something else. Lightning, F-13, freaking badass female. It's very similar to Mikasa. Flies around, casts people with a sword, right? But Lightning has a lot more personality. It's a backstory. It's some interesting. She kind of mothers hope in a way. Raises him as her son, basically, so on. That's more interesting, I think. Mikasa has like, oh, I'm in love with Eren, and that's my personality, right? So I'm just be like, yeah, she's badass. Again, I love the badass stuff of Mikasa, right? As with other, female characters, I love her being badass. I love her, owning titans, right? I love her beating the crap out of this, that, right? Definitely, I think those things are great with her, right? From a physical standpoint, which I think Levi, those things are cool, but then she's incredibly one-dimensional. But this episode here, then, kind of saves that from a writing standpoint, right? Because the author is like, I know she's one-dimensional, it's on purpose, So it actually kind of, from a writing standpoint, this explains why she's one-dimensional. Yeah, she's Eren's slave, that's why she's one-dimensional, right? You know what I mean? Like, it turns it around and like, that's right, it was on purpose. And he hates her for it, But I think it's a good point to make, and it's in my opinion, how, personally, from my perspective, right? I love this, Mikasa, the muscular female character, Hibiki Pami. I love the kind of, that kind of character. I really do. It's usually it is my favorite character in almost every anime, right? Like again, for example, Mereoleona, right? By far my favorite female character in Clover, and I'm a huge, I really like Mereoleona. No, but I love like Mereoleona a lot, and so on, right? And again, from a physical aspect, they are very similar, Mikasa and Mereoleona. But from a personality aspect, right? She has no personality. So I'm just like, no, I don't get it. Honestly, leave, write a comment now in live or comment later and do. I don't get it, because I get the whole desire of, the badass female warrior, which is my favorite thing too. So I get that desire, I get that shit, right? I really like that with her. But again, then, but then that's just how. But then it stops with her, right? Then Mikasa has that, and then not anymore, because then it's just like personality type Eren, what she likes Eren, favorite food Eren, color Eren, So it's like perfectly. Look like like one of these. I'll say it, datas, right? Like this one of the data logs. We have a character data logs, right? So it's like, her stats are max, right? Physical strength, 10 out of 10. Agility, 10 out of 10, right? Stamina, 10 out of 10, yeah, so on, right? Accuracy and all that, 10 out of 10. But then it's like personality, it's like Eren. You're like, okay, she has a lot of like, it's Eren everywhere, but perfect stats, right? So, you know what I mean? Eren is 100% right, and I don't understand why people like it. I generally don't. I know people go so angry. I know there are some, favorite. I know there are some people that love Mikasa. People can be angry at me, but come on, like I like Mikasa too from the physical aspect, right? I like Mikasa too from the physical aspect, but I'm just like, come on, it's just from a personality aspect, she really is. It's boring. Eren is correct. I agree with Eren 100%. Kill them all, Eren. Yeah, I always hated you. Anyway, let's go to the second part of the episode. The first part, 10 minutes, is Mikasa crying, and it's beautiful. It's Mikasa crying, and it's just, it's badass, right? But anyway, second part then, of course, Levi versus Zeke. But I'm always like, Well, I mean, Levi just wins, right? So, but yeah, so this story part, it again, really speaks on the badassery of Levi. How, of course, Zeke has spinal fluid everyone in his, I don't know what they call it, like his army. Let's call him his army or his soldiers or whatever, right? Yeah. Some kind of squad or whatever humanity or. There's this surprisingly many of them, I think, here in this scene. But anyway, yeah, so of course Zeke screams and they all turn, and then Levi just goes like ultra instinct and just kills everything. But they didn't even. I have to say, I wish they kind of show this. They don't really show it in the episode. So when Levi actually fights all of his I guess you could call them fallen comrades, right? And there is some, of course, some emotion there when he's fighting one of them, and he. As the face of similar, right? He realized that this is one of my, previous, men. I talked to this guy yesterday, right? He's one of my friends, or at least from that, right? And he hesitated for a moment to kill him, right? And then, of course, he kind of does it anyway, more or less. But yeah, this in here looks really cool. But I have to say there, I wish they would actually kind of expand this fight just a little bit, because they don't. They honestly don't. Yeah, Levi is like, oh, here you're all coming, right? And then the next scene, Zeke is like, oh, did he kill them all? Yeah, and then Zeke is like, how did he kill them all? And Levi is like, that's why I killed them all. But they don't show it. Levi just defeats everything. He's surrounded by all these titans, and he defeats them off screen. So he's like, yeah, it's a little bit like, I wanted to see him, just fly around and, do all the badassery. But I guess Levi is the best. He's the strongest character in the anime, right? When it comes to be an actual fighter against titans, and he just defeats them all easily. Basically, but yeah, I wish they kind of did a little bit animation here of them actually fighting them, but they just cut it over. It's the same thing in the manga. I mean, it is the same thing in the manga. In the manga, they don't show it either, so they don't missing anything there. But that's what I mean. They could have extended this scene and been a little bit like, let him actually, fly around a bit and own them and so on. But yeah, they got tricked, by Zeke. And they also showed it previously, of course, that Falco, he has the fluid, as expected, and also all the characters, of course, because when Zeke does the scream, right, they all get like, what happened? I felt some, power in my brain, or some kind of electricity, some kind of, electric energy in my brain, but then nothing happens, right? So that again kind of shows that, yeah, Zeke can make them all happen, and all the characters, of course, that felt that thing, they're all affected by the fluid. But it's clear that Zeke has a limited range on his powers, right? So he can only do it if they get close to him, right? So they're not immediately in danger unless Zeke gets to them, right? So that's a thing there to, of course, remember. But I do find it also in the point here I mentioned earlier in the reaction part, how there's been this, how do I say it, in the beginning of season 1, or beginning of middle season 1, they had, and also in the OVA, there is some inclination, right, that their powers are sun-based. And that hasn't really been explained. One of these eye catcher, which is the middle part of the episode, one of those things are also talking about them being sun-powered, right? And Han's theory earlier is that they have the power of the sun, given how they like they are, but they're basically like little tinier, fusion or fission reactors. Something kind of like a fusion reactor per Titan, right? So I do like the scene though when they all transform, because they all turn into, this kind of like, we see it earlier, basically when they all transform, right? But especially in this scene, a lot of tiny suns, right? And of course I know that an actual, the difference between fission and fusion, right? Fission and fusion are different thing. One is fusing in atoms, or splitting atoms. But anyway, in theory, we humans could build a fusion reactor. The sun is a fusion reactor. And yeah, I think this in here is much better here, important that in the anime. In the manga, it's not at all really like this. But I think again here, right, that it kind of points to the earlier theory from Hans that like every Titan is basically like a fusion and a sun reactor, right? Of course, in a tinier scale, but that's kind of how they probably are turning into, like this small suns, right? Yeah, they're all turning into like smaller solar powers, and of course then transforming. So I think this scene here, then again, this is not in the, it's not in the manga, I mean, so it's been pointed out, right? But that feels like an important thing here, I think. That again, we see this solar powering transformation, right? And it works similar to Superman, right? Superman in these comics, yeah, the sun power. But anyway, that's just like a point I want to make there, because they changed it in the anime and manga here, and I think it's important to again point to that. It's interesting, all the sun power, and also how that is mentioned again in one of these cards, in the data cards. We're talking about a lot actually, but it's never been really confirmed, right, how it works. But anyway, let's go to Zeke. So Zeke then, of course, is like, I'm just gonna escape with my Titans, right? So I find this scene I think this scene is very interesting. And this is the first time we really see him do this in like this kind of way, right? So there are a couple of things here. First of all the Titans he transformed, right? They're much more aggressive than usually, or they're deviant Titans. And of course, we had Zeke earlier, with Connie's village, when he attacked, Ymir, Historia and so on, right? And that's in the Rainer and so on. And those were also much more active, right? During the night, usually don't react during the night. They were much more like intelligent and aggressive, right? So clearly he can kind of control the Titans somehow. This has not I would say, this is not really explained, right? But basically, he has the royal blood, right? And it gives him powers. But what interesting I find, though, of course, we have the whole, coordination Titan power, right? That we, of course, with Eren and so on. And that power is the one to truly, control Titans. But with Zeke here, it's pretty clear that he's like, no, I can't control him anyway. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't actually need to have that power. The blood is much more important when it actually comes to Titan control, right? So, of course, when Eren was fighting, the mother is his mom, of course, and, made them attack her, right? It's more like the blood seems to be a lot more of the strong ingredient, I would say, because, Zeke can clearly control Titan anyway. He's like being carried by them here, so he has like not only control, I think it's interesting because he's controlling them, not just in like an aggressive, go and attack my enemy, right? He's like, carry me over there. He's like, I'm taking a rider, So, so he has like a very high level of control over Titans, even if he doesn't have the actual, correct power. He has the beast type, right? So it really is like a thing there. That the blood seems to be much more, I think, important in a sense, right? Because it gives him clearly like a very high level control where they can carry for him. He used them as weapons. That was a really good scene when he kind of threw them as weapons. He kind of split them apart and used the flesh and so on, right? And so on. So he has like a really good control over Titans. And I think, again, the important thing to point out is that he has the power, of course, to not just, make them attack Levi, but actually carry him and protect him and all that stuff, right? Like he has like a lot of versatile power, right? So, it's pretty clear that if you have Zeke with Eren, you get that founding Titan. I think it's more like the founding Titan, right? With the coordination power. I think that, in my argument, I would argue that it's more like a global control, right? Where Zeke can clearly control him anyway, without having that correct power. But if he had, of course, then Eren's powers, right? He can control every Titan, right? And that's where I would look at, It feels to me more like the coordination power is more like I can control every Titan or every alien, arguably more. Every alien, no matter where they are, right? It's like a global, the whole planet control, right? Where, of course, he can clearly control them here anyway without having any power. And again, that his scream could only control people or make them transform in a limited range, right? But if he had the actual power, he could probably scream or, scream whatever, right? And control everyone, right? Or make them all transform. So it's kind of clear that it's like he's limited by not having the range, right? So if he gets the founding powers, he should probably use it. Probably, in my argument, it would probably more expand his range, right? That power he kind of already has, right? More or less. But it's like then he could just reach everyone, right? No matter where they are. I think that's probably what it seems to do more, right? Because the blood power seems to be what actually gives you control. Definitely. But anyway, so let's go to the last part then. Just quickly saying it here then. So I watched it on TV, right? So I said here again my viewpoint here. Not what I don't have anyway, but I watched it on, said in the reaction part, I watched it on TV and the TV just stopped it. So I haven't actually seen the last like 1.5-2 minutes. I guess it's the ending in 1 minute because they just interrupted it. And it was kind of funny as I mentioned on the reaction part because I swapped the channel and it was still like, it kind of jumped back and forth with the other channel. But anyway, they have not aired the last minute then, roughly, because some tsunami or something happening in Japan. So, on earthquake. But anyway, the last part, I don't find that super interesting. It's basically just the Jaegerist, right? We have Flosh coming in, and he's like, "Yep, I'm gonna recruit all the young people because we're making the revolution." It's kind of like, again, as I mentioned in my earlier reviews, is very similar to the French Revolution. First, we have one revolution done by, I say it's kind of the general society, right? And they're fighting the monarchy, right? And then when they have taken control, like in France, the younger people are like, wait a minute, that was not good enough. We want, more extreme, reforms or whatever, right? So then the younger people make a next revolution. It's exactly that revolution because they have the Jacobists in there, yeah. And then the Jacobists are even worse. They're like, we're gonna have even worse laws, or better laws, but I would say worse laws to push it right. So he Flusher course enters, and he basically just he kind of just enters and recruits all the young people. He's like, maybe you wanna join the real army, right? Let's join the true army, and become one with us, yeah. So the last part is kind of like whatever, and it's like, from the TV standpoint, they stopped airing the last minute. It luckily was aired the last, in my opinion, the least uninteresting minute of it, probably. But that being said, maybe the last minute, which I couldn't see now then, and I have to wait, I guess, for some other version. I'm gonna watch it later then. Maybe the last minute has some massive cliffhanger where like best girl appears. It's like, I will get revenge or something. I don't know. Maybe Mikasa's like, I will kill Eren or something. I don't know. Maybe the last minute is some kind of crazy cliffhanger with the more characters haven't seen yet, which in this review part, I would say. So yeah, maybe so I missed out on that then. If the last minute has some crazy super reveal and you're wondering why is it not talking about that, it's like, I haven't seen it. That didn't happen on TV, so like maybe, but I don't think so. I think it's gonna be them, defeating the old men, right? Yeah, kind of I mentioned earlier. I said again there. It does remind me a lot of Tsukasa in Dr. Stone. It's like, we are the young people, right? Kill all the old people. They are bad, right? And let's make a new army of young people only, and then let's fight the Morlocks with less soldiers and so on. I mean, generally from a strategy aspect, it's pretty bad, right? They're trying to have this revolution, killing off a lot of the older people and so on, right? Mostly. And then they're also gonna fight like the Mauls or whatever, and their coalition of countries, which is like, yeah, you probably should need those people for a stronger army. That will probably won't improve your army if you lose half your soldiers by like a civil war before you fight the other country. That's like a really bad time for a civil war. But anyway, we chat quickly here. And but yeah, the title, yeah, but I felt I needed to, man. It's my favorite scene. I know, but it's like my favorite scene ever. This is by far my most. Yeah, I said again, this is generally my absolute favorite episode, right, of the whole storyline. So I felt I had to, honestly. I felt I had to, honestly. But this is the moment. This is the moment I'm waiting for like 2-3 years, right? Like my favorite moment of the whole storyline. That's my defense. I was too hyped. Prepared, all my Mikasa hate. But anyways, subscribe, slap, and I'll see you guys. So go to Twitch now. Again, Mushoku Tensei, which cost me like a lot of money this week. So I'm talking about it more in that video, but I'll say it briefly here. Mushoku Tensei, of course, a very good anime. But because that anime got, it has his characters. It had a lot of issues on Bilibili. They had to remove it on Bilibili, right, because of issues. And what happened was that last month Bilibili's stock actually increased, but this week it crashed like 20%, and I was like, my God, this keeps falling. And I was like, so mistake by me, selling when it's low, not selling when it's high. But I had been following it down for a lot of time. So yeah, and then they jumped on Tuesday, so I lost like 2K or something on Mushoku Tensei. Cost me like 2K. I was like, God, yeah, it's like a week month there. I got a week salary at least on Mushoku Tensei. I lost on Monday, which is kind of comedic. But anyway, I'm still gonna watch the anime. It's not the anime's fault. It's just the freaking world around it, right? And it's also kind of funny that people are somewhat surprised that this then Bilibili and this Chinese anime site and gaming site and so on, that they will have animes, and they're like, wait, they're like ecchi and so on. Yeah, it's great. Because I mean, I'm talking about in the extreme here, but it's like, wait, people, honestly, it's short stories that people were angry, right, at Bilibili, and then nothing happened with the stock for a month, but last Monday I had a hit piece on it. The people sold the stocks to 20% in Monday because people were like shocked and appalled that an anime website had ecchi stuff. And it's like, have they never seen anime before? Well, who are investing into an anime site that has ecchi stuff, right? I am, but anyway, see you guys soon on Twitch with Mushoku Tensei. It's an amazing anime, and obviously it is kind of funny that it made Billy stock drop like 50% in like 2 weeks. But anyway, see you guys.